Hey guys, it's kkushalbeatzz, and I think today I'm gonna do a commentary on the time I almost burned down my house. Yeah, it is just about as bad as it sounds. Okay, so one day my dad and my mom are at this party, and they don't take me along, and neither my brother. So I'm watching my brother, and before they leave, they tell me that I have to make a pizza for me and my brother, like a frozen DiGiorno's. And trust me, that stuff is delicious. If you've never tried it, try it. It's, oh my god, it's life changing. Better than pizza. But anyway, back on topic. Yeah. So, I was supposed to make this frozen pizza. They specifically told me not to use the main oven because they left stuff in there like that could burn, like plastic, and they told me to use the convection oven. Okay. Yeah, so they left, right? And every time they called, they specifically remind me, use the convection oven. But you know, I'm a big boy now. I can handle myself. Yeah. Okay. So time came, my mom called, and she told me that it was time to have dinner. And yeah, so she calls, she's like, okay, you have to make your pizza now, make sure to use the convection oven, and you have to preheat it too. Okay, bye. And then, so you know me, I'm like, okay, I won't forget. So I am watching a movie. It was rated R because at that time I wasn't allowed to watch rated R movies. So I'm like, look at me, I'm a badass. So here I am thinking that I'm like some sort of badass by watching a rated R movie, completely oblivious to the situation. A couple of minutes later, I realized that, I'm getting kind of hungry. Might as well make me and my brother some food. So I go to the kitchen and I start to preheat the convection oven, but I'm like, nah, never mind. I think it'll taste better if I make it on the main oven. So here I am. I just started preheating the oven, right? So I set the temperature, set the timer, and make sure it beeps whenever it's preheated and warm. So I take the pizza out of the refrigerator, just leave it there, wait for the oven to warm up, and I go back to watching my movie. Little do I know how distracted I can get. I start watching this movie for another hour, I'd say. So an hour later, I start getting a smell. I'm like, oh, it's like I guess it must be heated because I'm stupid like that. So I get a smell, and I walk over and I'm like, it looks weird. It looks like it's glowing. Maybe it's really hot. So I open the oven, and all of a sudden, all these flames burst out. I start freaking out, and before anything, I don't want my brother to find out and tell my mom. So what do? I walk around the house, making sure that my brother's occupied by the TV, block the door so he can't get out. And then yeah. So I walk around the house taking all the smoke detectors so that there's going to be no alarm that goes off so nobody can find out. Now, this is pretty dumb because if the fire actually got out of control, nobody would have known and I would have been screwed. Like, I don't know if the house would have survived. But right now, the house was pretty bad right now. And my first thing to pop into my head was, don't let anyone find out. So there's like plastic burning, smells like something that would give you cancer, like chemicals everywhere. And my brother's like, I hear my brother yell, asking when's the pizza gonna be ready, and I'm just like, oh yeah, 10 minutes. So here I am, and I couldn't find the fire extinguisher, so I find like a bucket and I fill it up with water, and I keep running back and forth between the sink and the oven, and I just like, screw it, this isn't working fast enough. So my sink has a retractable um thing that spurts water. I'm not sure what it's called. Spout? Yeah, maybe a retractable spout. So I can pull that all the way to the oven because they're pretty close to each other. So I have like a mobile hose almost. So I'm using that like a hose, trying to put out the fire. So nothing happens. It's pretty bad by now. I mean, yeah, the fire, it's starting to spread. I can see like charcoal everywhere, and it smells like shit. Yeah. So here I am, and by the time I put it out, I look around myself and realize that there is just clouds of smoke everywhere, and it smells terrible. So what do? I go upstairs, find a mobile fan, like one that you put on in a room if you don't have an actual fan, like that stands upright. Yeah, the one of those. So I got one of those, and I brought it downstairs to where the kitchen is and put it right in front of the oven. I make sure that it's oscillating, like when it turns round and round and round. Yeah, I make sure it's on high, and I'm like, this isn't good. So I go down into the basement where I keep all this stuff, and I try to find as many as I can. Some are broken, but whatever. Yeah, I find like a couple extension cords, and I just have like this army of fans in the kitchen trying to make it go away. It's not really effective, but I guess it's making it work. So after that, I have to open all the windows and all the doors to the house. And this is like a big house, not an apartment. It's big. It's a chore trying to get out all the smoke and the smell. Um so I'm like, oh, it still smells in here. So I go find like 3 cans of air freshener, and I just run around the house spraying as much as I can. And remember that while I'm doing this, my brother keeps pestering me for food, and I'm like, oh, it's warming, it's warming. The pizza's getting ready. Don't worry, it's going to be delicious. At this point, there was no pizza. So what did I do? I just stuck it in the microwave and put the microwave on for 20 minutes. Pizza came out 5, but it hardened in about like 3 seconds. I don't know. My brother was pretty mad. I mean, yeah. So I'm running around the house with air freshener trying to make it work. The house smells like yeah, whatever. It just smells bad. And then my mom calls and she says that she's coming home in half an hour. So I'm like, half an hour? What am I gonna do? The house is a mess. I have to so I run around and I'm putting in all the what's it called? The smoke detectors. How did I forget that? Okay. So I forget the smoke detectors and I put them back in one at a time, which takes a while because I took out both the batteries and the electrical, because the batteries are like a failsafe in case there's no power. So I take both of them out, and I have to plug in all the carbon monoxide monitors. Luckily, there was no carbon monoxide because it would have been a bad thing if there was. So I plugged those back in, and then I close all the windows, and I put the fans back where I found them, like exactly. Tried to make it look as realistic as possible. It was pretty clutch. It took me half an hour. It took me actually a little bit more than half an hour. My mom was off by a couple minutes. She came like 45 minutes instead of half an hour. So I was good, just good. And I also had to turn off my rated R movie because back then I wasn't allowed to watch 'em. I'm not sure why my parents let me stay home alone actually at that age, 'cause it was pretty bad and I was extremely irresponsible. Yeah. So my mom comes home and she gets a whiff of the smell and she gets really angry. She thinks it smells like weed, and that's not good because I don't actually smoke any weed. I've never have, never will. And it's bad because my parents don't like drugs at all. So my parents start pestering me, right? And oh yeah, I forgot to mention before in the oven there were like these plastic things that just burned to hell and back. And I tried taking them off the metal racks, but they melted onto them. So I got off a few, but I can't get off the rest. So what do? Behind my house, there's like a forest reserve. Like it's pretty expansive. It goes on for like a couple miles actually, all the way into the next town, and I think a little bit more. So I run into the forest and I run as far as I can, dump it there, and come back. So yeah, there is no rack, and that's that. And the whole oven is just a plasticky mess, and it smells like shit. So does the house. So my mom thinks that I've been smoking weed, and she does so. And I mentioned that before, as soon as I hear her come, I run upstairs, jump into bed, and act like I've been sleeping. Same with my brother. So I act like I'm sleeping, and my mom gets really pissed. So she comes up in my room, and she's like, "Hey, what's this smell?" And uh, I think that I'm really smart, and I'm like, "What smell? I don't smell anything." And so she just does some poking around in the house, trying to find some like ashes or leaves or something. And she doesn't find anything, but she eventually opens the oven, and then she runs upstairs and she's like, "What happened in the oven?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then she's like, "Don't lie to me. I know that you're lying." So I pretty much crack and I tell her, and I tell her everything. I tell her how there was fire everywhere, how the plastic thing is, and that. So the first thing is, remember, this is like late at night. My mom makes me get up, run into the forest, and I was scared as hell. I thought like some yeti monster was gonna come and eat me. Yeah. So I'm running into the forest. I go pick up the rack and some of the plastics, and I try, and I put them back. Now I remember that my mom's furious. So there's that, and then my mom makes me spend all my saved birthday money and buy replacement plastic things. And I wasn't allowed to stay home for like a while. I'd say a couple months. Yeah. So that's my story on the time I almost burned down my house. Leave a like if you liked it. Comment if you liked it. Comment if you want more of these, 'cause I have a couple cool stories. I'm new, so this is only like my third video. Uh, yeah, if you liked it, subscribe. Yeah, peace.